So, let's talk about Bihar. The stage is being set for a huge political showdown ahead of the 2025 assembly elections. Honestly, it's like a complex game of chess, and today we're going to break down all the key moves.
And if you really want to get what's going on, you have to understand this one phrase from the analysis: cold calculations. See, this isn't just about promises or rallies. It's about the deliberate, strategic moves that each party is making behind the scenes to get an edge.
Okay, so the battlefield is basically split right down the middle. On one side, you've got the ruling National Democratic Alliance, or the NDA, and their main rival, that's the Mahagathbandhan, which you can think of as the Grand Alliance.
And believe me, the clock is ticking. The polls are scheduled in 2 phases, November 6th and 11th, so both sides are scrambling to lock in their final strategies. This is going to be a make-or-break battle leading into 2025.
All right, let's kick things off with the NDA. Now, on the surface, they look pretty united, right? But underneath, there is a huge internal power shift happening that could literally change the entire game.
You know, one of the biggest things the NDA has going for it right now? They look stable. I mean, compared to their rivals, their negotiations on who gets which seats have been incredibly smooth. No public drama, just a powerful image of unity.
And when you look at how they've divided up the seats, wow, it tells a really interesting story. Just look at the 2 big players, the BJP and the JDU. They are each taking an equal slice of the pie, 101 seats. The LGPVRV gets 29, and the smaller partners get the rest. But that equal split, that is the detail you have to pay attention to.
Yeah, that number, 101, it's not just some random figure. It is a symbol. It represents a massive, massive shift in Bihar's political landscape. For the very first time, the BJP is not the little brother in this alliance.
I mean, this is a total game changer for the power dynamics in that alliance. For years and years, the JDU, led by Nitish Kumar, was the clear senior partner, no question about it. But now, by demanding and getting the exact same number of seats, the BJP has officially declared itself an equal. The old hierarchy, it's gone.
So what does this all boil down to? What's the real consequence here? Well, with the BJP now on equal footing, Nitish Kumar's long-held grip on leadership is shaky, to say the least. The analysis is pretty clear. Even if the NDA wins, the BJP might just decide to install its own chief minister. We could be looking at the end of an era.
All right, so while the NDA is putting on this united front, things look very, very different over in the opposition's camp, the Mahagathbandhan.
So you've got the NDA's story, right? A quiet but massive power shift. But for their rivals, whoa, it's a completely different and much messier picture.
The Grand Alliance. I mean, where do we even start? They're juggling a ton of internal problems. First, they can't agree on who gets how many seats, there's no clear leader everyone can rally behind. On top of that, there's supposedly a Cold War simmering between the RJD and Congress. And to cap it all off, the RJD is still trying to shake off the baggage of its past, which is something that voters definitely haven't forgotten.
Okay, so we've got the internal drama down. But how are these guys actually trying to win your vote? What does their playbook even look like?
It's pretty clear there are 2 totally different game plans at work here. The BJP-led NDA has this 2-pronged attack, a combination of what's called social engineering and just a flood of welfare schemes. The Mahagathbandhan, on the other hand, seems to be playing defense, basically just trying to match whatever the NDA offers.
So you hear this term, caste-based social engineering, and you're probably wondering, what on earth does that actually mean? Well, it's the BJP's strategy of making direct appeals to specific caste groups. And what's really interesting here is that they're even targeting communities that used to be loyal to their own ally, the JDU. They're basically trying to grow their base from inside the alliance itself.
But here's the thing. The BJP strategy isn't just about caste. They're also targeting what the analysis calls horizontal groups. These are identities that cut across all caste lines. And how are they doing it? By using state resources to roll out welfare programs aimed squarely at the youth, women, farmers, and senior citizens.
And, you know, the analysis on this is pretty blunt. It calls these welfare programs ill-disguised efforts to purchase votes. It points to a really transactional kind of politics where direct financial benefits are basically being traded for support at the ballot box. And this isn't just talk. Let me give you a real-world example of how this plays out. There's a government grant of 10,000 rupees for women to start new businesses. Well, that grant has already been given out to more than 1/3 of all women voters in the state. Think about that. That is massive targeted outreach.
Okay, so we've unpacked the strategies, the power plays, but what does this all mean for the actual voters in Bihar? When they go to the polls, what kind of choice are they really being given?
And honestly, the main takeaway here is, well, it's a bit grim. The analysis concludes that the strategies from both sides feel a lot more cynical than they do optimistic. It seems the game is less about some grand vision for Bihar's future and more about short-term political math designed to win an election.
And that just leaves us with one big, nagging question at the end of the day. When an election is driven by these cold calculations, by this race to hand out benefits, who really wins? Is it the parties, the politicians, or is it the people of Bihar? That's the real question at the heart of all this. Thanks for tuning in.